talk show on 102.7 FM featuring special guests with your host, Lady Grace.
Let's
get started.
How ready are we for the holidays? Oh my gosh, it's about 29 days till elections. How much we got? We got 12 days till Christmas.
12 days of Christmas. That's the most important one right now.
Right now we're focusing on
Christmas,
right?
Yeah. I for sure with my family. I'm looking at Christmas for sure.
You got a house load of
a lot of grand.
Yeah, right? Lot of grand. That's nice though. That's nice. Okay, good morning again, radio listeners, and you're in the Breakfast Lounge with my Wednesday guests. Of course, it's none other than the Deputy Leader and the number 2 candidate on the now party slate, MP Claudius Buncamper. Mr. Buncamper, Bunks, as you're affectionately known, how you doing? A lot of things to touch on today.
I am doing well.
To your viewers also, of course.
Yeah, naturally. No, I speak to my viewers about 3 times a week now.
Nice.
So Monday I have the podcast, Wednesday I'm by you, and then Friday I have first question with Mike.
Okay.
So I have those 3, and some radio stations called me and asked me if they can offer me to choose a Thursday. But I got to be realistic with myself also that I got to be outside in the field too. So I do use the radio stations to get the message out, to get a manifesto out. But a lot of people want to still talk to you. And I have realized, I must honestly say that I am running a very low-key campaign in the sense of billboards. I think it's a waste of money. Even with the T-shirts and all those things, I think while I understand it used to be the tradition, I think we got to step away from the tradition and we have to go into people understanding who you are and what you are. And T-shirts don't make that. What makes that is you getting on talk shows and you putting your thoughts forward. You challenge government with what they do and why they do it. And the amended budget 2023 is a great example of how you have to be very careful with what you're doing and the false promises that you have made where people are expecting a bright Christmas and it's going to be a very dim Christmas. I'm talking about the justice workers now. So, we have to be careful how we take loans, for example, and the loans have no return on investment. You're going to build roads, that's great, but in this point in time, if you were going to invest in anything, invest in GB and not listen to the mockery that happened, for example, again, let me take the budget 2023, the amended version, and look at it. And you'll see a few critical things.
Let's start there.
I found it remarkable how today suddenly the CFT is a big problem for Samaritan, and they have always blocked a lot of things on the budget. No, we went along with the CFT report. We could have told CFT like Aruba did, I don't care what you say, we are going to do what's best for this country. But that backbone is missing. Yes, 4 years in government, but 4 years without a backbone is giving you what you have today. Sure, we had COVID. So did Aruba. So did Curacao. So did St. Kitts. But how come all of them are booming and we are not? So when you hear MP Pantaflet talking about, oh God, we had the 4 years, we had 2 years. Hello, sir, go check your pay slip, see how long you were being paid. Please don't say that, because then you make a mockery of the people. For 4 years, we had a coalition, and they governed through good times and bad times. But it doesn't mean to say because you had a rainy day, the rest of the week must be rainy, and you behave as if you have a thunderstorm coming. This is what this government has done. They have tried to fix certain things. I will not deny that, because I'd be being hypocritical and just talking bad to talk bad. But I believe the Minister of Justice made a few critical mistakes. You know for a while already that the function books was a problem. And you decided you were going to rip that asunder, you were going to work it out, and you started, and you are reaching someplace. The problem is this. Everybody was told in no uncertain terms that things will be finished this year. They're going to put all the money on the amended budget, and they can't pay the 44 million in one shot, but they're going to pay a good chunk. 750,000 guilders out of 44 million is not a good chunk. That is peanuts. And that means if you look at the 550 police officers that are active, another 200 plus at home, the pensioners and all that, everybody got to get a crack out of this money. That means people will get maybe, 500 guilders? 1,000 guilders? I think they have disappointed the officers and the justice workers because they had expect something different. The hype did not live up to what they were getting.
Right.
And to blame CFT for that is ludicrous. I think when I heard that rhetoric being played out yesterday, I said, wait a minute. 700 something people are justice workers, 550 are active.
Okay.
But you're only coming with 200 LBs. That means the other 350 ain't getting nothing. Because there is no LB, so they cannot pay them. They cannot justify the pay. So about 200 people might get something, the other 550 will get nothing. Now, who will those 200 be? I want to believe, judicially looking, it's going to be the ones on pension first. Because they're not active anymore. Correct. You got to pay them. They're not part of a placement process anymore. You got to pay them. So I think a lot of money can go there first.
This is retroactive 10.
I don't
right?
know what they're doing because they're confusing stuff. The 44 million was for the retroactive payment. So I want to believe the 750 is for retroactive. But where that ties in with the placement, the COLA, the new salary ranks, it's not clear. There is no red thread anymore through the story of the Justice Minister.
Have you seen a copy of the function book? Because I had the union members here a few months, I think about a month or two ago, and they said they actually saw a copy of the function book and they're spoken against it. And they said so. It seems like it was rushed and there's some irregularities.
Well, remember, there was a whole to do about a month ago when you had the two unions basically representing the police.
That's correct.
The NRPB and the WICSU PSI, and they basically were separated.
Right.
One was
I spoke to NRPB and they said it seems like the book was rushed because they
NRPB, not the NRPB is the World Bank. NRPB, Rogelio and them. Yes,
right,
correct.
Right, sorry.
Yeah, they had the bulk. They have the bulk of the workers, police workers, and they didn't agree with what was put in there, and there was no consensus according to them. And that can make sense because the NAPB is not part of the CCSU, which is that overcoupling organ that all the unions are in that works with the government on these type of discussions. I think Mr. Boseman is the chairman there, if I'm not mistaken myself. They had an issue. And at the end of the day, I think it was Mr. Johnson from the WITU told the union from the police, take my seat. So you can have inspraak, not necessarily uitspraak because they can't vote. They have no voting rights. So again, that on its own is already a troubling something. 120 objections to function books out of the 550, that's 25% of the people are not agreeing with how you're placing them. And then there was, like the minister said, a lot of people that were crossed over in departments and promotions, and it wasn't reflected correctly. That brings more work to get those national decrees ready. So again, there's a lot playing off. But it was like how MP Rayon Peterson said, it was a carrot they were dangling in front of them because elections due. And if Jurendi could do it, but why she can't do it? That is a problem because you create a false narrative, you create false hope. That's unfortunate because I think the police officers went through enough already to now get a 6 for 9 for their money for Christmas.
So basically again.
Once again.
Right.
So while the intentions were genuine, like you said, a lie has no conscience. So they don't care. They are just selling things. And in the budget meeting yesterday, it became obvious to me that something was wrong. And when the justice minister couldn't find her balance to answer, she asked to answer today. So the meeting will continue today. But it was strange that yesterday, three of the coalition members were not there. So they would have never be able to pass the budget. That's one. Two, the leader of the opted to throw a whole new cycle in the debate, because to start talking about the amended budget and talking about GB had nothing to do with the amended budget. So like normally, if the chairman understood his job, he'd have packed him up there and tell him, hold on a while. This is not part and parcel of the... If we are going to talk budget, and are we going to talk about concession fees, but then you open in the whole budget for discussion. Then we're going back to an hour and a half.
Right.
First round, an hour, second round. There's 30 and 20 minutes, which means it's just the amendments we're going to discuss.
Right.
But lo and behold, he says, listen, the government should not charge the concession fees by GB and put that money for GB to use now to offset the amount of people. Like I said, 75 to 80% of the people in Samaritan owe GB. So if that is the case, and you want to offset that, and you want to use the concession fees for it, that's a great idea. But you already use that concession fee to balance your budget. If you're going to take out that 5 million now, you're going to have a depleted budget. You see, this is the story they don't tell. This is where I am surprised sometimes that the MPs don't pick up on this. Because if you're going to sell this narrative, and it's in the papers today.
Right.
That,
It is.
You know, the MP proposed... Look, GB is in serious problems. We all know they have problems, and the nice answers they gave of corporate governance, they will not say that because corporate governance, and now nobody is sitting there taking photo ops as witnesses. Now everybody hiding. Because the answers they give you are what we would call jokey answers, because they have no substance. We walk in hand. Yeah, I agree. Those are corporate answers. But have a closed door session and discuss the problem, because this problem can affect your budget, can affect your actual 2023 budget. Because if there is a company that merits help, it's GB. GB didn't create the hack. Let me put it so: those there didn't create the hack, but they got to clean it up.
Right.
They got a lot of work to do. So I'm saying let's be cautious how we try to throw a spin on the budget, throw a carrot out here to the public. Hey, we're here to help you. You're not there to help them, because what you're saying cannot really work. But again, it shows you where things went. And I don't know. I have to ask myself, because, what caught me was that CFT statement that parliamentarians in here brought the CFT. And I know the good leader was shooting at the leader of the DP. I think he made a
Which leader was this?
The up leader.
Okay.
When he addressed that CFT thing, he was addressing the DP leader.
Okay.
The problem is the DP leader didn't bring home 10-10-10. The NA leader brought home 10-10-10. His coalition partner brought home 10-10-10.
That's MP Marlin you're talking
correct. He was the one that signed it off in Holland. And the pictures show you Sarah in the background looking on. So again, we got to be careful when you start throwing shots and believing nobody's looking, because we are looking.
But
we
she
are
was
listening.
a contributor to the
She basically made it up to 2009, and then she was thrown out of government, and the NA went in with Theo Heiliger into the new government that brought in 10-10-10.
Okay, thank you for refreshing my memory.
That's how that went.
Okay.
Theo left the DP.
Correct.
And the DP went into the opposition. So again, and all it shows me is that we have a very serious debate. A very serious debate. And the questions that need to be answered aren't answered. I think a question was asked, how much will they be paid individually each? When and how?
These are
because
officers, police
sure,
officers,
we're
right.
talking about long-term budget commitments, but the law that you want to use for that long-term doesn't exist yet. So how must we go and vote for a budget for long-term, but the monies that we are going to derive from the tourism law at the airport is not in place yet. Not even approved, didn't reach Parliament yet. I mean, this is the height of ludicrocy. But it's thrown on the floor of Parliament as a fact. And when we get it in 2024, Who say you get in? You want us to vote in a budget on a promissory note that we have never complied with. Because if we had complied with all our promissory notes, Holland wouldn't be bashing us the way they do right now. So again, I think we have some problems there. I think another big problem that arose yesterday was, okay, so what happens on December 15th when the budget 2024 should have been ready? Are we going to get a measure? Are we going to get a kingdom decree order that so-and-so going to happen? I mean, Bryson very eloquently threw it out. He said, well, if we don't have it, we'll have to use budget 2023. That is correct. Budgetary-wise, that is correct. Okay. But that don't mean say you don't get the instruction. That doesn't mean say you don't get the instruction.
You didn't have the 2024 ready.
Exactly, because it should have been in by September of this year, and it should be finalized and approved and signed off in a decree of law by the 15th of December.
And here you are still trying to get the 2023 budget approved. But MP, what happens if this budget doesn't pass? If
the amended budget doesn't pass?
The amended budget doesn't pass.
A few things. It will have an effect for sure on the police officers and their payment. It will have most probably an effect on the civil servants and the health cost, because in the OZR budget, I think that they put in an additional $4.5 million. So they used about 20 from the 21 million that they had in surplus, and they have a 1 million surplus when they close this budget, if approved as is. A lot of money was also put into VROMI to do certain things. So, and I'm saying, that's why I said, you cannot tell GB, keep their concession monies, because that 1 million minus 5 million puts you at 4 million in debit, in red. Yeah. So you would have a deficit budget contrary to what was agreed with CFT.
Right.
So you would get an instruction for that then too. So I'm sure MP Bryson knows that, but he knows how to put the spin on. I'll give him credit for that. And he does it in a very eloquent way, and if you don't pay attention and read between the lines, you will not pick it up. No. And sometimes they're politicking too much, and these things pass them, unfortunately. But I am sitting at home, so I have all the time of day to dissect it and talk about it. So look, I understand we're in an election, but I think we got to get rid of the fortune cookies that we share in. As if we are bringing this for you, and we are bringing that for you. I mean, there was a public meeting a few days ago of the UP, and I don't know how to read what the deputy leader said.
What was it?
Two things.
You followed it?
Yeah. Well, okay. I saw it on Facebook because I made a clip of it.
Okay.
First, they blamed Luc Marcelina, Dr. Marcelina, for breaking the government. I think that was correct.
I believe I saw that.
And the clip came out now with the former MP, Franklin Myers, who said he can't support the UP no more. What Luc Marcelina did is what many MPs fear to do, send him one of their own. He showed that he had backbone. When they had to send him Jurendi, they even fly in the fellas them in and pull him up with a wheelchair into the hall, because they didn't have the backbone to send home one of theirs that committed fraud, and the ombudsman says so. Don't worry about Buncamper. Don't worry what I say, because your fact is that I'm convicted, and I agree. The court said that, and I can't twist that. But the ombudsman said, you committed fraud too. But your government swept that under the floor because they found that you're the highest vote getter, they can't do that. That's a political choice that they're going to pay for now. Because this election, the numbers are going to be different. A lot of people believe they're getting 1,000, 1,500. Crap, I'm going to smoky pipe. But then the second thing, yes, I am out there every day. Okay. The second thing that I found so strange was that the deputy leader, Minister Otley, went down a trail of, if you take Theo in the best day, and you take the farmer...
What did you take Theo what?
In his best day. And if you take the MP Marlin in his old days, so today basically he's nothing, that's what you're telling me. Mm-hmm. But take him in the old days, put him together, I'm 4 times better than them. I mean, you got to be delusional. There's no other word I can find but delusional.
You saw, is that on tape?
I have the tape. I couldn't, I listened to them about 3 times.
So the old Theo...
The old Theo and the old William, because the new William is a different story. Put those two together, he is 4 times better than them.
It's campaign,
I mean,
man.
I understand
It's gotta be
campaign,
like-
but you
it's
can't be
gotta
that. You
anything.
can't be that delusional.
Okay.
When you talk about Theo in his day, there is nobody, no politician right now that has reached that plateau. William has done a lot, but he has always done it from the opposition benches. It's only in the last 10 years that William really got a chance as a prime minister back in 2016, I believe, and in 2012 as a minister of Romy, that William was able to flourish good. But before that, it was a different story because it was the red machine against the rest.
Right.
You know, so
remember those days, of course. You were part of those
my
days.
wife was a member of the red machine. So no, again, we gotta be honest with ourselves. Don't go there. It sounds nice.
Yeah.
It sounds nice.
But I'm glad you brought that up because you look at actually what, former MP Theo Heiliger has done for the country. I mean, he's facing jail time, but the fact of the matter is, you could look at Front Street. You can't
take it from him.
You can't take it from him.
Look,
you can't take
the
it
boardwalk,
from him.
Front Street, Back Street, going down. What you call that place up there? LB Scott Road.
The Crossway.
Festival Village.
Thank you.
The bridge. The pier. I hear people talk about they got vision and what they do. I hope since they got that vision, they will explain the courts also that it wasn't Theo who cut the Royal Caribbean deal, but it was them. Let them do that then too. Because you see, you can't just take the good and leave the bad.
That is true.
If you were a CEO, it's good and bad. And I find that, you see, this is the campaigning that I don't like too much. I don't take credit for nothing I didn't do. Never have, never will. That's why I was so upset with the court case. Because I ain't taking credit for an accusation I didn't do. If I did it, come play with me. But if I didn't do it, you stand your lane, I'm going to stand my lane.
Why do you think a lot of these new upcoming politicians are trying to compare themselves to Theo?
That's normal. Every singer compares themselves to an idol.
Okay.
Theo is their idol. If they like it or not, they see their idol in front of them and they look up, oh, I better than Theo, I better than William. No, man, please, man, you're not. You're a young politician, and yes, you will have a good time. I am sure if they stay focused, they will reach some place. But let us not pretend as if they are the best thing since sliced bread, because they are not. They really are not, and I think we really have to look at it, Grace, from that way. But,
Basically just getting your feet wet now.
Yes.
This is the first...
2.5 years, you're a minister. And you boast about a lot of things. But for the campaign trail, I'm going to deal with those boasts. You boast about Saha, you boast about the hospital, you boast about a lot of things. We're going to see really if any fruits came from them. Because Theo Heiliger's fruits and William Allen fruits are visible.
Right.
We're going to start checking yours.
Mr. Marlin actually was the one who cut that road there.
Link one.
Link one. Yeah.
William Allen ran one of the biggest road building campaigns
That
in
is
St. Martin.
true.
Saunders, St. Peter's, South Reward, Cahill. William ensured that the people in South Reward were able to buy their homes.
Right, for
You see,
Hilla.
thank you.
For Hilla.
That is status. That's when you reach to a plateau.
You can beat your chest.
Yes!
That's-
William and Theo can do that.
Yeah.
But not you. Man,
Well, you know
let me
what-
not
you
say
know
what I
what-
want to
You
say.
know what is so ironic though, that when William mentioned MP Marlin, let me say, respect, MP Marlin said that he wanted to build a tunnel. Everybody laughed about it. But you gotta have a vision too,
Look,
And that's what Theo had too.
I
You just
think-
can't throw things out there. But I think he actually had a vision of
He,
creating a
listen,
tunnel.
he didn't have a bad vision.
Right.
It was going to be one of the links that you're going to take Cul-de-sac
You
here.
get stuck there.
You take Cul-de-sac, so the LB Scott Road, and you create a passage through the hill. The problem was where we won't put a dot.
That too.
That, you could have built a little saber
Now we
eventually.
see what we did with the dirt from the sand from dredging the harbor.
Yes.
So yeah.
You see, so I think that was going to be the biggest problem. Naturally,
The dirt.
the
The
dirt,
dirt.
and naturally also the cost factor. It wouldn't have been a cheap job because you're drilling through a hill. You have to build all
that's
the
up your
all the
alley,
tunnels.
so you don't do it, no.
Well, I think Kurt was the one that really had a lot of the design, and I used to look at it because it was a very interesting something. Grace, it was different, But today, Grace, I really wanted to touch my manifesto, but I wanted to look at three things that was really problematic in Samaritan. And one is the safety of the country. Are we still safe?
Safe in what sense, MP?
People getting robbed. Robberies have become the norm of day. We don't have enough police officers on the road at night. Sometimes you hear they got 3 people working, 1 man in the station, and 1 upstairs watching the people in the jail.
So they're basically gonna go slow right now.
No. That was when they made the change with the prison guards.
Okay.
They lost 1 or 2 police officers that are now upstairs working, and which is the function book.
But
It says
some
that.
of the VKS officers.
Yeah, they use them. They use them there, and they use them on the street.
Correct.
to do patrols. But we have too little. When you hear that people go and rob dominoes and they have enough time to take everything from everybody inside, then go up to the gas station, rob there too, and a patrol can't leave yet because they ain't got people to jump in the car. These are things that make you wonder how safe is your country. Instead of you focusing on that, we're reading about concubine here, and you don't need to be married. You can be living with him to get your residence papers. We stopped that because of the abuse that there was. What changed? What really changed? To tell us, but let's go back and do it. Other than you can make money. Because I don't see it. Maybe I'm too naive and I don't see this. But to get a work permit costs money. So now tell me, you could be living with your boyfriend, you don't need to be married, and we'll give you a work permit.
For 2 years.
You are opening Pandora's box. You got 9.7% of your own population don't have work. Why are you going down this road? Other than money, I can't find another plausible answer. And please don't tell me it's about family. Because that's not true.
That's what she mentioned.
Not
She
true,
said-
look.
Yeah.
But the lady in Santa Domingo and her children here, she don't deal with that one. I hear Gromiko still screaming about it. So don't use it when it's convenient. Use it when it's true. And that's my problem.
So MP, you think it's all about just collecting money?
I think so. Get some more money on the budget.
Because nothing will actually change. That's also what you're saying here is because in the past it was abused. What's going to prevent it from being abused again?
They have no data showing it's not going to happen. We know it can happen, but we're going to watch out for it better. Really?
How?
Please, man. I mean, when you hear these things, that's when you get nervous. But the same goes, for example, for food sustainability. Because, when you don't have a safety, you get 2 things. The economy is going to start suffering because tourists are going to be robbed left, right, and center. Just now, we are in high season now. It's happening already. They are robbing people. Especially on the strip at night, people walking, they're robbing them. Or on the boardwalk, they rob them. You got to be careful with these things. This harms your product, your tourism product.
Correct.
But what about the citizens that are being robbed left, right, and center?
The businesses.
These people, if the police ain't coming or coming fast enough, they're going to start taking action. And God forbid they start arming themselves to defend their property and their lives. Because at the end of the day, the police can do the job, but if the police don't have the manpower to do it because we are not hiring police officers, then we got another problem on our hand. So, we got to look at it carefully. But the same goes for food sustainability. Because we saw what happened in the pandemic, right? When the world had a problem, you were at the bottom of the list. Eggs cost 10, 15 guilders a dozen. You can't get this, you can't get that, you can't get that. Containers don't come. So there was no food sustainability. And these are things we have to be careful with. Now, the up party, the up now. They have done so much of things that, they have me in their mind.
Take your time.
The now party. One of the things we put in our manifesto was that we need a new ministry. A ministry for agriculture, fisheries, and animal husbandry. We need that. We don't see a way around that. For the past 30 years, agriculture has meant absolutely nothing to the government other than saying you have somebody working for government that's supposed to be doing agriculture, but no office, no nothing. Animal husbandry is a little better. They have a few fellas that do the importation and check the animals. They used to go and check the cattle in the past if they had tick fever, etc., and the meat. But does it happen today? I doubt it. And then fisheries. We have fishermen fishing, but it can be much better and it can be a better business for them because we can use the Sabre Bank, but we will need the right fishing vessels. And this is where this ministry has to really start looking into it. Do we have to have partnerships with our Caribbean brothers and sisters? Sure we do. Nothing wrong with that. We can learn from them, they can learn from us. We have to look at technologies. Do we use brackish water? Do we use salt water? To do agriculture, there are different things we can do. And that's what the Now Party wants. We really want, as one of the first things that we can do when we get in there, is to create a ministry. And creating a ministry is not easy because you have to change the whole organization format, so you will go through something. But it doesn't mean to say that we can add on by a minister the agriculture portfolio in such a way that we can put a junior minister maybe to handle that very specifically with a budget. Okay. It can be done if we want to do it. We always find 100 reasons to say it cannot be done or this shouldn't be done. But that's foolishness. Because to do agriculture, we're going to need to do some securing of land for agriculture. But we are not. Up until today, the government has not secured any land. Promises were made that they were going to make land available by Emilia Wilson. Nothing has happened. We are 4 years further. Nothing has happened. We need awareness campaigns that people understand what food sustainability and food security means. Teach the children in the schools agriculture. And I know it was done because I know Ras Bushman, I believe it was, Denisio, and Jocelyn, all of them used to be in the schools teaching the kids of agriculture. But again, it's taken a back seat. Other things take a front seat.
Right.
And that's unfortunately in the country. We have to look at these things. Right. But like I said, a commercial fishing fleet would be great for Samantha. Anguilla just did it. We can carbon copy what they did. They took an X amount of people from the fishing world and they went to England. They bought the fishing vessels and they taught them how to operate those vessels. And then they came back here and they can use them in Anguilla. So why can little Anguilla do that and we can't do it? It is because we have too many other things that we believe are more important than food sustainability.
And I'm glad you said that also because I know a few months ago, sometime ago last year, I was also reading that in Jamaica send their farmers, abroad. I know it was in the UK or somewhere, one of those countries to actually upgrade their skills in farming. Yeah. And the government of Jamaica pays for that. And where it concerns the planting of the cannabis or whatever, the vegetarian, not the vegetarian, the planting of food or whatever it is, vegetables and stuff. But they send the farmers abroad for training.
And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. And sometimes, some of our own, they take it personal. We tell them, maybe we got to do some of these things in collaboration with others. It isn't replacing. It's upgrading.
Upgrading, that's the word.
We need to upgrade our capacity.
Right.
And yes, some of them have great ideas and some of them have been working for years to bring it to a level. Unfortunately, government doesn't help.
But we seem to only target, when I say target, we're talking about what? How many local farmers, active local farmers?
A handful. We have a handful. It isn't that we have 50 farmers walking around. We might have 50 people doing farming.
So how do we expand the agriculture then? How do we expand agriculture in the country?
By creating an industry, by creating price protection. If we are doing planting here, whatever we are planting, be it avocados, be it mangoes, be it lettuce, tomato, plantain, bananas, whatever it is.
Is it enough to sustain the country though?
No. We can't even sustain a district, more or less the country.
Right.
You have to look at your market, your tourism market. In Aruba, they produce eggs for the whole country and the tourists in the country. Now they have about 2+ million in the country.
I've seen them in the supermarket.
Good. So you can understand that if they can do it while they're not in the hurricane belt and they got a lot of flat land, we can do it too. The chickens can live in the hill. Ain't nothing wrong with that. They don't need waterfront. They can live up in the hill nicely in a nice chicken farm, well taken care of, stench out of location because they smell. It stinks. It stinks.
I remember on a road it was a chicken farm that we had to pass to go to school, and it was right on the side of the road. So I knew the stench of that.
And we have to deal with these things, and you have to plan properly.
Yeah.
Same thing if you want to do animals, goats, pigs, cows. You can do it the right way. I am not saying that we're going to find every solution we need in a year or two, but our manifesto was written for 2024 and beyond. It's not a 4-year plan alone. Not everything in our manifesto can be done in 4 years. We cannot. But animal control, for example, is something that we are looking at now. And the law has been written. The law is ready. The law has to be brought back in now, and it has to go through the process to explain what it entails. Like in the law, we said no more dolphinarium. No dolphinarium in Samartan. No zoo in Samartan. Because if you're going to cage animals in a zoo, then you can just well cage the dolphins also. So we got to be honest, across the board we do it. No dog fighting. The only thing that one, because of a cultural tie to the country, it was allowed in 2012 to remain on the books. And that too, as our culture is changing and cockfight is becoming something of a distant past, eventually it will be phased out, I want to believe. But again, I leave that to the group that is directly involved with that. I don't think it would be fair to go at it right now when only 10 years ago they agreed to it. The generation didn't turn over yet. That agreed to that. So I think you have to wait a while and then deal with that. But again, there are a lot of things that animals should be chipped. And if they're not chipped, then you pay a fine. We should spade animals to prevent all the strays we have. These are the type of things that are in the law that we can then enforce. And we need enforcement because in the criminal code, the punishments are there. But they're never enforced for the simple reason because it's not enforced outside. So when an animal is being abused, nobody's enforcing that. You hear Samaritan Paws or animal welfare, them screaming. But nobody really does anything. Nobody goes into the yard, takes the dog off the chain in the hot sun. But they do that here every day. You got people got dogs and the dog tie up all day. Why you have a dog for? The dog has a life. It's a life.
He wants to walk around. He wants to run around.
And if you don't have the property to do that, then don't get a dog. Don't get a dog. This is where the law. This is where the law is very, very strong and written about.
Do you remember that time when I believe it was Mr. Corbin Merrick's had actually landed in court with a pet shop owner because he had a dog. I think it was a beagle. The dog was tied to a tree. You remember that story with a pet shop in Madam Estate? The beagle was tied every day to that tree. People would just see the dog there. And I believe one day, Mr. Corbin Merrick, correct me if I'm wrong, if he's listening, that he actually took the dog off the chain and he landed in court with a pet shop owner and he won that case.
He has to win.
Because the dog was in the sun.
But it's also animal abuse. And the law exists. Our laws exist. What we did with this law is we upgraded the standard of the law, where the microchipping, the sterilization, spading, all those type of things, come in. And you will pay a fee if your dogs are not chipped, etc. You have to pay a fee.
In Curacao, I know they test
that too. It is basically the law from Curacao has been adjusted for St. Martin. So that's the catch. There's no reason to rewrite the whole law.
Reinvent
because we don't have an animal hospital yet like Curacao has. So it is part of the law, but it will not be activated directly in the law because just like how we have land tax as a law, but it's not activated within the law, we will leave certain parts out that eventually with an LB or MB can be activated.
Let me throw this at you, even though you probably didn't have it on your list to talk about. How concerned should we be about our tourism product here in St. Martin? We see what's happening in Anguilla. Anguilla is about to dredge for luxury yachts. They've already expanded their runway for private jets. And the other islands, of course, are also following suit. They got a big cruise ships coming in. Are we doing enough to protect our tourism product, MP?
It depends on which side of the fence you look at it. if we look at what's in the media,
We get the competition out there.
oh, but that's normal. You will listen. In the 1920s and 30s, the team to beat was the New York Yankees. That's not the case today anymore. Everybody is vying to win that World Series. Same thing with basketball. Everybody wants.
Please don't talk about the Lakers.
Everybody wants to be on top.
Yeah, that's true.
And the same goes with this business. Samantha had great years of success. The Theo Heiliger vision.
You go again.
No ifs and buts about that. From 2010, let's say from 2005 to 2015, give and take, those were great years. That's when we reached the 2 million tourism mark, etc., etc. All those things were great.
When you brought in Oasis of the Seas.
Yes, the other islands were looking. And in the cruise industry, it's about making money. So if the other islands go and build the piers, they'll bring the boats. Because then you have variety. Samantha has one thing that none of the islands have. 2 destinations in one.
Island.
You see? So that is something Anguilla can't sell. That's something St. Kitts can't sell or Antigua. We need to work from that angle primarily. But we don't. The French doing their thing, the Dutch doing their thing.
Right.
And both will lose to the others. But if you come together, and you say, I'm going to put 15, 20 million to sell the product, one country, one island, one people. Bobo wrote a song and sang it.
I'm singing. I'm hearing it in the back of
but
my
we
head
don't.
right now.
We have this. Oh, it must be we. We have a minister of TR that has no clue what's happening in this ministry. So how do you expect your tourism product to go any place? It ain't going no place. Because the good gentleman doesn't understand what he's talking about. And they have good professionals working in that ministry that can really help this country. But if leadership says no, then you got a problem. So I am concerned, but it can be adjusted. We need to find a new niche, the new St. Martin. We are not the friendly island anymore.
And I keep hearing that
And
every
we just,
time that a politician sits in this chair.
because of the crime, because of the safety in the country. Remember I told you it will damage our economy?
You did.
That's the economy, the tourism factor. But it can be turned around. But we're going to have to make some serious commitments on how we plan to do that.
Such as?
Deal with immigration. Deal with it. Because that grey economy is a deadly economy. It is putting your normal people out of work because they work for less money. With other scrupulous businessmen that don't register them, they have no medical care, they don't pay no taxes, they don't do nothing.
6 months contract.
Pandemic showed that.
Yeah.
When we saw how many people needed food.
True.
Because they weren't working no place. So you see, Grace, there's so much that we have to look at. But that's not the onlyest thing. We have to regulate our destination. What do we really want? Which tourists do we truly want here? When you go and play this game of giving away bus licenses and taxi licenses, now Grace, I'm going to show you what happened yesterday. MP Heiliger questioned it. They panicked.
He did.
He panicked. He said, oh, my chef de cabinet will give it. No. Then ask the chef de cabinet question, ask you. You're the minister. Problem is this. 3 hours later yesterday, on Facebook comes out an ad. We have reached our cap. No more bus license, no more taxi license. Really? Because the question was asked 3 hours before to give the list of who all got.
So she asked that question.
We should ask the question. So suddenly people start to feel wet.
Okay.
But these are the things. If you want to do something, for God's sakes, regulate the bus routes with changing lanes, a program there for 10, 15 years. Regulate that. Create a taxi stand, a bus terminal. Regulate that. You promised people you're going to build marketplace. You didn't do nothing. You see, look, these are the things, when the tourists come, they go under a bunch of tents. Instead of having a nicely beautiful design something that might even have a food court with local foods being sold. That's what, when I travel, one of the first things I used to do was find the local food place and drink a local beer. Now I don't drink no more, so I drink a local soda or a local water.
Punch something, right?
You know. No, the thing is this. There are things we can do. Samaritan people are friendly. They are not bad people. And I'm never going to say, oh, I think Samaritan people have changed. No. Society has changed over the years because our social and moral values have changed over the year because everything started to become money, 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 money. And I need to survive. I need to feed my children. I need to do this. Our minimum wage is 1,700 guilders. Our livable wage is 3,500, so twice as much. You see, these are the things that we have to start working on. That's why that subsidy program that I spoke about last week is going to be so important for country Samaritan to move forward. That's why the Now Party that is bringing solutions that will work. Don't ask me about where we're getting the money for. I have showed you last week with all the different taxations that don't touch the small man right away, like how we like to say, but touches businesses that do business in this country but don't even live here. But the money just flies out. Right. Those need to be taxed. They can't pick up the house and run with it. They're not going to pick up their banking and go elsewhere. They're not going to do that because in other countries they pay.
How do you track them though? Because most of their bookings are done online.
Airbnb was willing to pay.
Okay.
We were ignorant. We wanted to know who they was. Take the damn 5%. It's 5% more than you have. All other countries get it, but no, we want to do difficult. We want to be the smarty pants. We want to know who money it be. Why? What is it? It ain't yours. Who you worrying who's for?
Right.
As long as you're getting your fair, regulated tax. Right now it's 5%. We are proposing to bring it to 10% in so the room rate we want it to become 10%, of which 8 goes to government, 2 goes to the environmental protection agencies like Nature Foundation and all of them.
Right, because I was about to ask.
Yeah. We want to take 2% and send it that way.
So 8 to government.
8 to government and 2 to the environmental, coastal protection, those type of things. You know, people don't understand how dangerous climate change is.
The COP is coming to a conclusion.
Well, and the COP ain't going no place because.
Why you say that?
Because too many countries are telling the wealthier countries that want the COP to be something, listen, you have exploited for the past 50 to 100 years our countries. You took our minerals, you burned them, you made money. Now we are independent, we want to sell our minerals. Like France is one of them. We want to sell our minerals. The African countries that pulled away from France, they want to sell their minerals. They want to sell their gas and fossil fuels. You are telling them, no. OPEC told them already, we ain't stopping selling oil. Don't come with that.
Right.
We ain't stopping. We going to sell. Which means pollution from fossil fuels and gases and coal will continue. India can't turn that switch. China can't turn that switch. So COP 2018 going no place. It's going to be a watered down, toothless tiger.
That's going to happen also in the Netherlands also because I think they had stopped drilling for gas for a while in Groningen and then they stopped that because of the earthquakes. But
yeah, eventually they're going to start drilling in the Saberbank.
You watching what's happening in between Guyana and Venezuela also, right?
Sure.
Huh.
No. Venezuela said, you ain't going to become rich now. They're going to go in there and is America going to stop it? America going to go in there and stop.
America is denying any involvement.
Yeah. America, remember, 2 big American firms have drilling contracts in Guyana.
In Guyana. I think Exxon is one of them, right?
BP and Exxon.
And Exxon, right.
They got big contracts. That's America. But they ain't going to just allow Maduro to go in there. They're going to deal with Maduro.
But are you surprised, though, that some of the Caribbean islands are actually standing with Maduro? You got Barbados standing with them, St. Vincent standing with them, I think Suriname also.
The territory has been subject of discussion for donkey years. And Venezuela said, we are not going to reject taking that property. And they're saying,
but who does the property really belong to?
Well, again, Venezuela has fishing rights right up to the Saberbank.
The Saberbank. You said that.
Where's Venezuela? Venezuela is 1,000 kilometers away.
Right.
But they got water rights coming right up to our Saberbank. That's why the Venezuelans are always fishing in there. Oh, sorry, we didn't know we crossed the territorial lines. No. Yeah. Look, again, when elephants fight, the grass gets trampled. And all of the countries them can jump up and say this. As long as the soldiers ain't fighting there, it don't mean nothing what you say. But you don't have no trade with me. I got oil. I don't care. I don't care what you say.
You want more.
That's always. A
more.
millionaire wants to become a billionaire, and a billionaire wants to become a trillionaire. So yeah, the need for something is always greater than the use of something. And that's what's happening right now between Venezuela and Guyana. And I hope that they can find a peaceful resolution.
They're supposed to have a meeting, I think. What's it, the 14th?
Yeah, but the same like Israel.
The 14th, tomorrow they're
same
having
like,
a meeting
same
tomorrow.
like Israel and Palestine. They could have solved it, but it didn't. And right now it's not like that. Even America is telling them, listen, we can't continue supporting you like this. So, but Grace, that's, when you're talking oil, you're talking wealth. And that's one of the things that the NOW stands for. Nation, opportunity, wealth. So how do we create wealth in our own country?
Because if we're talking about
wealth,
enriching your population, that is to see that what the population is currently going through, then how does the NOW party intend to put more money in people's pockets?
By eradicating poverty directly.
How do you do that?
Well, that's where the catch comes. You have to create some serious adjustments to a few things. Your economic opportunities will be created with a focus on local partnership and participation. This is a new terminology for us here in Samaritan. Local participation and partnership. Grace, you got $20,000 on your bank account in your savings. You get nothing more, 0.01% back on it. Your neighbor got 30,000. 3 other neighbors got 50,000 each. So that's 200,000. And one other neighbor got a piece of land. So if all of you come together and build 4 apartments, on that piece of land or 6 apartments, everybody owns 1 apartment. And that now creates income every month. So you get $500 off for it, or $800, depending on what it is.
So that's the partnership right there.
That's the partnership that you're participating in. The word that you didn't hear yet is ownership. You all own it. The government don't own it. The foreigner don't own it. You all own it. So you can do a lot more because the money that's generated then stays in St. Martin. It doesn't go through Western Union or through one of those big multinationals. It stays here. People here start to make money. People here start to become rich. We need, 1,000 homes? Have we spoken to local landowners and people that have money in the bank and said, let me call a meeting. Who are willing to invest? From $10,000 and up. Who willing to invest? And let's see how much homes we can build. Let's see if we can find land. Banks want to do it. They want to give the loans. But maybe people have money in the bank and they're making nothing on it. So maybe you want to talk to them and do that. These are ways that you can do things for Samaritan. Another major issue in Samaritan is skills. Do we have the skill set to take this country out of poverty and make it wealthy? Is our capacity up to norm? These are things, we got a NEPA. No, I didn't ask that. I asked if we have the skill set for this country. Why do we constantly have to bring in people from abroad to run our big companies and take big positions? Why are we not training our own? Or do we have people but we refuse to put them in position?
People that can train our
exactly.
own people, right.
What did we have? What did we see after Hurricane Irma? We were flying in contractors, left, right, center, electricians, plumbers, masons. But we have them. So now the NEPA is running those courses and people are becoming certified. But that's not the only skill set. Construction will come to an end someday. So what's new? Artificial intelligence. Something that's going to take over the world and it's going to replace workers. It's going to replace the people working. So how do we get this done? Look, not everybody can be a lawyer and a doctor. You need that blue collar. But that blue collar doesn't need to be poor. We don't have to be poor because we work in a masonry job. We should actually be rich because those can charge $100+ a day to work. So these are the things, Grace, that I'm saying we need to look at. We need the housing subsidy program. Last election, they promised to build 1,000 homes. They built none. They repaired a few, but nothing of substance. You have the housing foundation. We have Belvedere, we have a few hundred houses. Those people have been paying rent for donkey years. 1998 it opened. Some people are there now from those days.
From inception.
That means 25 years. For 25 years, they have been paying house rent.
Give them the house.
Thank you.
Give them the house. Same
And what they have to do is, and this is where I keep saying it, if you're going to take a loan that gives you a return on investment and build another 500 homes. And if you don't have the land, do that in partnership with people that have land, and everybody makes money. You build it, they start to rent, and there's a transition period where your rent starts maybe at 1,000 guilders or 800 guilders, and it builds down to zero over the years, because the longer you're paying, the more you own that house, because it's a rent to purchase.
Right.
And the role,
rent to own also, basically.
And basically the role of the housing foundation changes a little bit from managing to creating ownership. And that's why our program said 2024 and beyond. This is not a light switch. This ain't gonna happen overnight. It sounds that, oh, you're selling a good story, but can it work? Yes, it can. But we are the ones that have to make this work, because if we don't do that, we're in trouble. We need to invest in our own infrastructure. You have APS that is quite liquid. So why are we not building the Parliament building, the High Council building? We rent for 19 million guilders a year.
The Parliament building?
No. Government pays 19 million.
Companies.
No,
not
government.
Companies, not owned, but
just
rented
for departments.
Departments.
The latest one being the tourist office.
Oh gosh, yeah.
But
you added that to the 19 million.
The 19 million was there before.
Okay.
So what it means is this.
Yeah.
Let's say 5 million comes from the government building with a buy-over for the SSD. That leaves you with 14 million. Now, build a parking lot that you can rent. Build a new Parliament building so you can move in. Build the High Council buildings, build your National Archives, all of these things we are renting. Build a new library, we are renting. These monies, you borrow them from APS, and you pay APS. You have 14 million guilders a year. Your rental income costs you 1,400 guilders, 14 million guilders a year.
Right.
So you can easily pay 8 million, 10 million, and save 4 million.
4 million.
You put someplace, and the buildings are yours. You own them. Within 25 years, you don't have any more rent to pay. Those buildings are good for another 25 years. You just made 25 times 10, that's 250 million guilders. This is how you enrich a country, by creating their own infrastructure. If we don't do these things, Grace, we're going to have a serious problem. A lot of people have no pension. So when they reach 60, 65, the little AOV stipend is what they have to live off. So can we create a national pension system where everybody can get into the pension system, and there will be some that will fall to the sideline, because a pension, you're paying into it. You got to pay for it. You're not going to get it like AOV, that if you walk or not, you're getting it. No, pension, you pay for it, and that pension money is invested, and that's how your pension is alive and kicking when you become a pensioner. So maybe we have to look there, because we have too many people right now that are in a bad place because they don't have it. You know, and then you have to see, how do I deal with APS? How do I make APS sustainable to be able to do what we want to do? Maybe bring in some more members from GB, TLM. You know, we have to see that whatever they were getting now, they are going to get the APS, and how do you make that transition? Look, Grace, our manifesto comes with plausible solutions that we can implement if we truly work on it together. You know, next week I'm going to talk a little more in depth. Well, Monday,
Monday, you're back here.
I am back on Monday, because Wednesday I am in Sabre. So I will do my podcast. I will do my podcast, God's willing, if the internet is strong enough over there.
Right.
I will do it, and then they can see it on Wednesday.
Okay.
But then I will be talking about climate change and its consequences, and I'll be talking about our infrastructure. How we can really go around, talking about alternative energies and renewable energies, etc. But I think we reached our time.
You see it on
Yeah,
phone, right?
I look at my phone, so I know we reached our time.
Right.
But again, I want to thank you, Grace. I love these conversations because I can express what our party stands for. I sometimes highlight the shortcomings of the government. Stop promising the people things. It's Christmas time. People have it difficult enough that some of them can't put food on their table. Others can't buy gifts for their kids because the economy has been sluggish for a lot of people. So, be understanding when you make certain comments to people and certain promises
No casting.
Yeah, I always tell people, a promise
Yeah.
is a comfort to a fool. And stop making the people look like fools and feel like fools, because a lot of justice workers were expecting a good payday, and because that's what they were promised. And today, they say, yeah, but I never told you I was going to do this. Look, you built the climax up to it, and now the people have a problem.
Result of that.
Yeah.
Deputy Leader and the number 2 candidate of the Now Party, MP Claudius Buncamper, my guest this morning in the Breakfast Lounge. Thank you again so much, MP, for dropping by. We look forward to having you here again next week. That's Monday?
Monday,
Okay,
the 18th.
Monday. Yeah.
The 18th.
We're going to talk a little bit more on this and the economy, of
Yeah.
course. So when we come back, stay tuned, people. That's going to do it for yours truly. It's Wednesday, hump day today. Coming up next.